skies were energy. We'd feel the water, let it be. For all the time.
Cabin Fever 2. Spring Fever. It's a 2009 horror film that's a direct-to-DVD sequel to Cabin Fever. This is directed by Ty West, and the plot is, well, at the very beginning, you see Ryder Strong reprising his role as Paul from the first film, and he is making his way out of the woods. He's still somehow alive from after Deputy Winston left him there to die. He's severely infected by this point. I mean, his face is mangled and disfigured. He's barely recognizable. He comes out of the woods and he's trying to flag down somebody for help. There's the school bus that's coming towards him, and it just hits him. And he explodes. What the fuck was the point of that? Why would you get Ryder Strong to come back and not only be in this movie for, what, 2 minutes? But you have all this makeup on him, so he doesn't even look like Ryder Strong. I mean, you could have just gotten anybody to play this part. And then you bring him back to kill him off like nothing. Like he's just some piece of shit that means nothing. Wow. Great start. So then, for the rest of the movie, you see that the water supply was infected from the end of the last film, and now all of these water bottles are being fed to the school, and this school is about to have a prom. So now all of the kids at the prom are drinking the water, getting infected, and yeah, you guessed it, they're all gonna catch this flesh-eating disease and die. Now, what I think of Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever, is, if it's not obvious, fuck this movie. Fuck Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Not just because it's a sequel to Cabin Fever. I love Cabin Fever. I love everything about it. I really like Eli Roth and the way he made that film. To continue the story without Eli Roth is mistake number one. But then what they do with it is so uninteresting. It's such a lame, sort of generic type plot. I mean, I'm not saying a group of people going into a cabin in the woods is all that different, but man, there was a lot of cool stuff about that first film that made it different, that took that plot and made it something special. Here, it's just your generic direct-to-DVD horror film that's so uninteresting. Look at the main character. We have this guy, John, who he's spending the whole movie trying to figure out whether he wants to go to prom with his longtime crush, this girl, Cassie. He wants to either go with her or he's thinking about staying home for prom. Wow, fascinating. I'm really into this character. And then he has a best friend, Alex, who is just kind of an asshole. I couldn't care less about this guy. He ends up hooking up with this girl, Liz, in the bathroom of the school. And it's funny because when he's about to get a blowjob from her, he sees that she has this weird sore on her lip. And he even, stops her and notices it and says, what the fuck is that? But he takes the blowjob anyways. And look, I'm not saying that I don't know a bunch of guys who still would have taken the blowjob anyways. But you gotta be a fucking idiot to still do it, because guess what happens? His dick gets infected. Yeah, that happens. So then when you get to the prom and you see these kids drinking the water, drinking the punch, and it's all infected, and they all start getting sick one by one, and it's just a bunch of nameless, faceless people that you couldn't give any less of a shit about, and they all start dropping off like flies, and they're in this gym for the prom. And they're just spitting out blood left and right, and eventually it's just a pile of people on top of each other, dead. And I'm like, wow. So you guys think that just if you up the blood, if you up the gore I'm going to enjoy this movie more. No. There's this fat girl who is infected. And she's about to hook up with this guy in the swimming pool. And like I said, she's infected, so she just dies in the swimming pool. And then the kid hits his head off the edge, and he dies too in the pool. This is a big waste of time. I don't give a fuck about these people. They're so generic. They're so annoying. The only part in the film that I thought was a little something interesting was when the main kid, John, gets infected, and his hand is all messed up. So he cuts his own hand off. I'm like, okay, fine. Because they brought Deputy Winston back, who I would have liked for him to be the actual main character, because here he finds out that he basically fucked up. And he's the reason why this whole thing is happening. And he's trying to clean it up. He's trying to take care of it. But then you have these guys in hazmat suits. And basically now the government's getting involved in all of this. So now Winston is freaking out. And he's just... If this movie was mostly about him dealing with this fuck up, I would be all for it. I'd be all on board. But what we have here is just... It's one of the most lame, generic, boring, dull, poor excuse of a bloodfest horror film that I've ever seen. It's just, it's pathetic. It's a poor attempt at trying to continue, trying to turn Cabin Fever into a franchise, which couldn't have been unneeded as this was. This movie pisses me off the more that I think about it. I can't do it. I want nothing to do with this movie at all. Fuck it. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments below if you saw this piece of shit movie as well. What do you think of it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.